We are anonymous. No faces, no flags, no permission slips. We are a decentralized collective that stands for transparency, accountability, and truth. What you are about to hear is the unvarnished account of how Representative Jamie Raskin excoriated Attorney General Pam Bondi to her face in his opening statement before the House Judiciary Committee, a confrontation rooted in deep allegations of DOJ cover-ups, favoritism, and betrayal of justice. Everything in this narrative is grounded in verifiable reporting. Before Bondi even spoke, tension filled the room. As she arrived, protesters confronted her. Cameras were rolling. One voice rang out. "You are a disgrace to the American people. You protect pedophiles." That accusation set the emotional tone before the gavel even fell. Attorney General Pam Bondi appeared on February 11, 2026, before the House Judiciary Committee in Washington, D.C., as part of the committee's oversight function. The hearing was expected to focus on the Justice Department's actions under her leadership, especially its handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files that have since become the center of national controversy. Bondi entered the hearing to immediate protest and scrutiny from critics, but it was Jamie Raskin, the Democratic ranking member of the committee, who opened fire in a blistering statement that set the tone for the entire proceeding. Raskin welcomed her formally, acknowledging
you've got the best lawyer's job in America.
Because he stressed her mission was supposed to be justice for the American people, yet he immediately challenged whether she had lived up to that mission. Raskin pointed to the women sitting directly behind Bondi, Epstein survivors and family members of late survivors, and said bluntly that despite being present and demanding accountability, Bondi still had not met with these survivors. He introduced the survivors by name: Teresa Helm, Jess Michaels, Lara Bloom McGee, Danny Bensky, Liz Stein, Marina Lacerda, Sky and Amanda Roberts, relatives of the late Virginia Giuffre, Charlene Lund, Rachel B., and Lisa Phillips. Then Raskin accused Bondi of indulging perpetrators and ignoring victims not just in the Epstein case, but also in other contexts where federal agents had been accused of using deadly force against civilians. As Attorney General, you are siding with the perpetrators, and you're ignoring the victims, he stated, warning that would be her legacy unless she changes course. Raskin did not hold back when he called out what he described as a massive Epstein cover-up being run out of the Department of Justice. Congress had subpoenaed 6 million documents, photographs, and videos related to the Epstein files, Raskin said, but Bondi's DOJ had released only 3 million of them, claiming the rest were duplicative, even though he noted some of the withheld files contained victim statements. Of the documents released, Raskin charged that redactions protected abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators, apparently to spare them embarrassment, the exact opposite of what the law required, while failing to properly protect victims' names, identities, and images as mandated by Congress. He described this not as incompetence, but as cold indifference and cruelty toward more than 1,000 victims of sexual abuse and trafficking. Raskin also accused Bondi's leadership of managing subpoenas and investigations in ways that benefited powerful individuals connected to Epstein. He said Bondi's deputy, Todd Blanche, quickly moved Ghislaine Maxwell from a higher security prison to a minimum security camp in Texas, an action that, Raskin claimed, afforded her comfortable treatment and protected her from exposing damaging details about powerful associates, including former President Donald Trump. But Raskin's critique went further. He claimed the DOJ under Bondi had abandoned victims in other cases, such as the killing of Renee Nicole Good, a mother of 3, which, he said, the FBI was investigating before it was shut down, and the killing of Alex Pretty, an ICU nurse at the VA, whose investigation, he said, was compromised by political rhetoric from the White House and Trump allies. Then Raskin unloaded perhaps his most devastating allegation, that Bondi had turned the Justice Department into Trump's instrument of revenge. He said Trump orders prosecutions like pizza, directing Bondi to target Democratic figures including James Comey, Letitia James, Lisa Cook, Jerome Powell, and members of Congress who had clashed politically with Trump, such as Adam Schiff, Mark Kelly, Elissa Slotkin, Chrissy Holohan, Jason Crow, Chris DeLuzio, and Maggie Goodlander. Raskin described how Bondi replaced seasoned prosecutors who refused to follow what he called lawless orders, with loyalists lacking prosecutorial qualifications, and how a federal judge later found such appointment blatantly unlawful, throwing out the indictments that Bondi's own office had brought. Grand juries, Raskin emphasized, repeatedly rejected these politically driven indictments, with one even rejecting charges against 6 Democratic lawmakers for alleged seditious conspiracy linked to a video urging service members to refuse unlawful orders. Throughout his nearly scathing monologue, Raskin repeatedly pressed Bondi to stop evading questions, to set aside her burn book of personal attacks, and to actually answer the committee's inquiries. He scolded her for wasting time with personal smears and deflections instead of providing substantive answers, insisting that justice depends on restoring the DOJ's character and independence. In response, Bondi's own opening remarks were combative and deflective. She defended the department's work, claimed to have spent her career fighting for victims, and apologized generally for what any victim had endured. Yet she refused to directly apologize to the survivors present for the flawed handling of the Epstein files. When pressed by Democratic lawmakers, Bondi also launched personal attacks during the hearing, at one point referring to Raskin as a washed-up loser lawyer when he pressed her for answers, illustrating how heated and personal the exchange had become. In the backdrop of this confrontation, the Justice Department's redactions and release of Epstein materials have been widely criticized as excessive and misleading, exposing victims' private information while shielding potentially incriminating details about powerful individuals allegedly connected to Epstein's crimes. Legislators, press, and even some Republicans have expressed concern about the lack of transparency and accountability. This hearing was not merely a political clash. It was a battle over whether the Department of Justice serves the Constitution and victims of crime or serves as a political tool for those in power. Raskin's opening statement made clear that many in Congress believe the DOJ has failed in its basic duties under Bondi's leadership. We are anonymous. We stand for truth. We refuse to accept half answers and deflections from those entrusted with justice. We urge you to watch the full hearing, share this information, and demand accountability from your representatives and from the Department of Justice. Transparency is not optional. Justice cannot wait. If you believe in justice, share this, speak up, and hold power accountable.